We are going to go over the critique essay notes. If you don't have your book, that's fine. I've got some lecture notes that you can follow along with. So if you click on this document, sorry if my video is kind of choppy. Doing my best here. Don't have my school computer. Left it at school. So I'll wait on this to load. Maybe. Let's try this again. It's not blank because I know what should be there. Let's try from this way. Okay, if your lecture notes do not work, let me know and I will try to repost those. Okay. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at two different articles, and I want you to read both of them because you may not know which one you want to write about. So go ahead and read both of them. They're not super long. One of them seems like it's long, but really like part of the end is just like the reference list. So don't be freaked out by how many pages one of them is. Okay, so when we talk about critiquing, we're talking about figuring out if an author lives up to the purpose of what they're writing for. So usually an author's purpose falls into one of three categories. We have to inform, to persuade, or to entertain. And then when we think about the different things that we read, they will usually fall under one of those categories. And so I've posted under your critique materials, I think. I have not. I will get those posted. I will just do that now so I don't forget to do it. I thought I already posted those, but I guess I will go back and do that. I've got two articles for you to read. And then I also have the citation information for them as well. So let me okay. Those should all be there now. Okay, so you've got two articles to read, and then I've included the citation information for both articles as well, because you will need to cite those at the end of your paper. So you'll read both articles, and then you will figure out, the goal here is that you need to figure out what the purpose is, and then to what extent do you agree or disagree with the author. So that's the whole point, is you're figuring out what is the purpose and do they fulfill that purpose, and then to what degree or what extent do you agree or disagree with the author. So if they're writing to inform, some questions to keep in mind are, is the information accurate? Is it important? Is the information interpreted fairly? And that's just to inform you. That's just to give you just pure information. They're not trying to persuade you, they're just giving you information. So if any of the above questions, if the answers to that are no, then they're not then they are not successful in their purpose. If the author is writing to persuade, then you want to keep these ideas in mind. Does the author use clearly defined terms? Does the author use information fairly? And does the author avoid logical fallacies? Logical fallacies are in your book from pages 82 to 85, so I suggest that you go back and look at those. But if the author is trying to persuade, then they want to make sure that they avoid those logical fallacies. The pieces that we are reading do not fall under this last category of writing to entertain, but when you're reading a piece that is entertaining, then you should ask yourself if you were entertained by it. You know, if not, then was the author successful? The next question is, again, under entertaining, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the author? And so mainly for entertaining is just going to be were you entertained by it? When we think about to what extent do you agree with the author, you're going to pick two specific things from the text that you either agree with or disagree with, or maybe it's a combination of that, okay? As you are reading, it might be beneficial to take some notes over what you agree and disagree with. I'm not going to tell you how to take notes about it, but it's going to be important that you find things in the articles that you agree or disagree with, or both, okay? When you're talking about the introduction paragraph, you're going to start the essay by giving some background on the article. You might have to do a little bit of digging on the author and or his or her background, just to figure out like, why was this written? Who is this author? I have not done that research for you, so you're going to need to go and do that yourself. You could also give us some information about why the article was written in the first place, what was the need for the article, and then as always, you will end your introduction with your thesis statement. You'll see here I've asked you not to summarize the article in the introduction because you're going to be doing that in the first body paragraph, okay? So don't summarize the article that you're reading in the introduction. Talk about the author, talk about why was the piece written, give us some background information about the actual topic of the article, but don't summarize the article, okay? In your first body paragraph, that is when you are going to summarize the article, okay? You're going to use the skills that we talked about earlier in the semester about summarizing to summarize the article. You don't need to go into a lot of depth here. It's just going to be a standard size paragraph with 2 pieces of evidence. But just talk about maybe a couple of big points that the article centers around and include those in your summary. And then I think this essay again has 2 direct quotes and everything else is paraphrased. So just have two pieces of evidence in that summary paragraph. Okay, body paragraphs 2 and 3. This is where you are going to state if you agree or disagree with the author. So you're going to start with your first body paragraph, and that's going to be your summary. And then for your second body paragraph, you can agree or disagree. For your third body paragraph, you can agree or disagree, okay? And that's how we get our 3 body paragraphs. If you want to agree with the author in both paragraphs 2 and 3, that's fine. If you want to disagree with the author in body paragraphs 2 and 3, that is fine. If you want to agree in one and disagree in the other, that is fine as well. There's no wrong or right way to write those as long as you are picking something specific to agree or disagree on, okay? You'll do this in third person point of view. You are not going to use first person here, and I'm going to give you some examples of how to do this in third person. So you're going to think of the author's purpose, and if you agree with the author, then you'll tell why. An example of a sentence for this paragraph could be, the author is mistaken in this logic because, or the author is correct in this pattern of thinking because. You could say the author presents this idea fairly because, but you're not going to say, I think. You're not going to say, I agree because. You're going to talk about what the author is doing well or what the author is doing wrong, okay? These types of sentences allow you to create or critique the author without using first person. So that section, paragraphs 2 and 3, will take up 2 body paragraphs, okay? And I've got this. There's a sample outline on page 64. I feel like that is probably not the right page number. That's probably from the old book, so I don't know what page that's on. Taking 64 is probably not right. We'll figure out what, I don't have my book, so we'll figure that out. You will determine more than one point of agreement or disagreement, and then each of those paragraphs will reference 2 pieces of evidence from the article. So that's where your 6 pieces of evidence come from. You have 2 for your summary paragraph, 2 for your first disagree or agree paragraph, and then 2 for your last disagree or agree paragraph. Okay, on page 87, the authors of the textbook mention assumptions and what assumptions the article or text leads you to have after you've read it. This is basically saying what is something new or something different that you think after you read the article. What has agreeing or disagreeing led you to now believe about this topic? So I want you to end your essay with that conclusion paragraph. It's going to be a little bit different. You can summarize what you've already talked about, but I want you to end with your assumptions, your further thoughts about this topic. And then make sure that you start with rephrasing your thesis statement. like I said earlier, my advice would be, again, to read both articles. It shouldn't take very long. If you read both articles, it's going to give you an idea of what you want to write about. I don't want you to read one and then later be like, oh man, I wish I would have read the other one. I don't even know what it was about. So don't do that. Okay. Here is your, mine looks funny on this computer, so just ignore what that looks like. Here's your here's your outline. Sorry, here's your outline. You're going to state which article that you're writing about up here at the top. And then you're going to give me your thesis statement, and then you're going to give me your topic sentences, or kind of like the gist of that paragraph for each body paragraph. Okay. The outline is due, this should say the 18th, and critique essay is due the 24th. Okay. Thought I updated this on the lecture notes, and apparently I did not. There we go. Okay. If you need to go back and look at your grammar and punctuation expectations, you can do that. Okay, let's go back to classwork, and I want to look at your rubric really quick. Okay, so nothing really different in writing and mechanics and style choices. You can only have 2 direct quotes. Same length, 2 pages, no longer than 4. 6 pieces of evidence. Here's your conclusion. Notice that I have another criteria for assumptions and further thoughts, so make sure you include that in your conclusion. And then I have a works cited page, a section here at the very end. So this paper is worth 120 points, so worth a little bit more than it has been in past, more than past papers have been worth. Okay, let's look at this document here, critique essay in text paragraph citations. This just kind of helps you see what and how to cite some of your evidence. So remember that you are using the page numbers that are on the PDFs. So for Stevenson's article, those numbers are like in the 70s. For Jones's article, those are like in like the 490s. So make sure that you're using those page numbers. I've got your sentence order here. As always, it's not any different for this essay. If you're paraphrasing, remember that you don't need quotation marks. Obviously, you're putting it in your own words, and then your introducer would be like, Stevenson explains that, or Stevenson discusses that, and you wouldn't need the comma. So that just kind of gives you some reminders about how to cite this information and how to use introducers and to use parentheticals. Remember that even for a paraphrase, you're still going to have parentheticals. Okay, your outline document is posted here. It's due tomorrow. Do your best to go through and read these and kind of figure out what you want to write about. If you have questions, send me an email. We do need to keep on track of the schedule that I have planned, so make sure that you go through and you get started today. But don't forget also that your in cold blood essay is due tonight. Your first article that you could read is here. Your second one is here. And then the MLA citation information for both articles is also posted, so don't forget about that. So you've got all the information that you need. And if you have any questions, send me an email.